She screamed so loud the whole street heard it. "He's armed! Shoot him now!" And before I could even step out, red and blue lights flooded my driveway. I was just pressing the button to open my garage. But the door jammed halfway and froze, leaving my truck and tools exposed. Cops pointed their rifles at me like I was some criminal, while Karen stood behind them smirking, holding her little clipboard like she owned the block. My wife peeked from the window, clutching our daughter, whispering, "Don't move. Please don't move." Karen waved her hand at the officers. "That's the man. He's hiding something dangerous in his garage. Take him down before he hurts someone." My heart was racing, but my head stayed calm. I knew she was lying. Still, when a cop's finger slid onto the trigger, all I could think was one wrong breath and I'd never see my family again. Then it happened. Bang! The gun went off, but not at me. The bullet slammed into a man stepping out from the shadows of my garage. And that man fell face first, his suit instantly recognizable. It wasn't some stranger. It was the state governor. The street went silent. One of the cops dropped his weapon, stuttering, "Governor? What the hell is he doing here?" Karen's fake smile cracked, her face turning pale. She tried to cover it with a laugh. You saw that, right? He was trespassing in his garage. I was just protecting the neighborhood." The officers looked at each other in shock, but I didn't say a word. Because the truth, that the governor wasn't there by accident, was something Karen had no clue about. And that secret was the reason. I'd been keeping my garage locked tighter than Fort Knox all these months. She wanted to destroy me, but instead she got the governor shot in my garage. The sirens didn't stop. More squad cars pulled in, lights bouncing off every window on the block. Neighbors rushed out with phones in their hands, filming everything. 2 cops tried CPR on the governor while Karen shoved herself forward, yelling, "Don't look at me. Look at him. He planned this." She jabbed her finger toward me like she'd just solved a crime. I didn't move. I just stood there with my hands raised, letting the cold air bite through my shirt. Because the more she screamed, the deeper she buried herself. One officer finally barked, "Ma'am, step back." But she refused, waving a fake-looking paper in her hand. "I'm HOA president. I have authority here. That man is a criminal, and I can prove it." She slapped the paper on a cop's chest, and it slid to the ground. Everyone saw the bottom line where the ink smudged. The seal wasn't even real. A murmur rolled through the crowd. Someone shouted, "That's not an HOA notice. That's printed off a damn computer." Karen's face turned red, but she doubled down. No. You don't understand. He's dangerous, I swear." And then, the garage door creaked. It jerked upward on its own, the motor whining, until the whole space was wide open. Inside, every single wall was covered in high-tech screens, files, and locked steel cabinets. The cops froze. Neighbors gasped. Karen tried to twist the story. "See? Look at all this illegal surveillance equipment. I told you he was hiding something." But before anyone could say a word, one of the officers walked inside, his flashlight scanning the walls, and his voice cracked as he read out loud, "Federal case files, Department of Justice seals." What the hell? Karen stammered, That's fake, right? Just props, right?" I lowered my hand slowly and finally spoke, my voice steady. "It's not fake. This garage isn't a crime scene, it's evidence storage. I worked undercover for the DOJ for 10 years. Karen's mouth dropped open. The cop spun toward me, unsure whether to cuff me or salute me. And right then I dropped the line that silenced the whole street. She didn't just get the governor shot in my garage. She blew open a federal investigation she was never supposed to know about. Karen's face twisted as if she had swallowed fire. "He's lying!" she shrieked, pointing her finger at me with shaking hands. "He's not federal, he's a fraud. Don't you see? He's staging all of this." But the officers weren't listening to her anymore. They were listening to the radio crackling on their shoulders. A dispatcher's voice broke through. "Unit 9, confirm. The man at that residence is cleared. Repeat, cleared. Do not detain. He's a federal asset under protection order." Every head turned toward me. My wife, still clutching our daughter at the window, mouthed a single word, "Safe." Karen stumbled backward, her authority crumbling like wet paper. Still, she refused to let go. She ran up to the governor's fallen body, screaming, "You don't get it. He's the threat. He's been spying on us all. Arrest him or you'll regret it." A cop finally snapped, "Ma'am, step away now." He pulled her back, but she clawed at his vest, desperate, unhinged. That's when the twist she never expected landed. Because under the governor's jacket, as the medics lifted him, a slim leather folder slipped out. and slid across my garage floor right to Karen's feet. She bent down, snatched it, and read the cover. Her lips moved silently before her face drained of blood. Confidential. Investigation. Homeowners Association Fraud Syndicate. Gasps spread through the neighbors. Someone whispered, "Wait, are they investigating her?" Karen's knees buckled, but she tried one last time to spin it. No, this isn't about me. This is about, she stopped, because she knew every single lie she had planted on our block was written in those files. Her fake fines, her forged letters, her harassment. It was all there, locked in federal evidence. I stepped forward, my voice low but sharp. You thought you could ruin me with fake notices and fake authority, but you never realized the real target was you. The officers exchanged looks, and for the first time that night, their rifles weren't aimed at me. They turned and aimed them straight at Karen. She came to destroy my life. Instead, she walked straight into a federal trap. Karen's scream cracked through the night like glass breaking. "You can't do this to me. I am the HOA, I run this neighborhood." She kicked and thrashed as two officers gripped her arms, dragging her toward the squad car. The neighbors who once ducked at her threats now pulled out their phones, recording every second. One man yelled, "That's the woman who towed my car for no reason." Another shouted, "She fined me for painting my fence." The crowd turned into a storm of voices, all throwing her own rules back in her face. She tried to fight it. "This is illegal. I'll sue every single one of you." But the cop holding her leaned down and muttered so everyone could hear, "Ma'am, you're under arrest for fraud, harassment, and obstruction in a federal investigation." That line hit like thunder. People cheered. For the first time in months, the neighborhood wasn't afraid of her. I looked at the governor's body being lifted into the ambulance. Still breathing, but barely. One of the agents whispered to me, "This changes everything." She exposed herself before we even had to. I nodded, but deep down I knew this wasn't the end. Karen wasn't just a nosy neighbor. She was a link in a bigger chain, and that chain had almost gotten me killed. Before she was shoved into the squad car, Karen locked eyes with me, her voice low and venomous. "You think this ends with me? You don't know who you're really up against." Her words sent a chill crawling down my spine, because they weren't just empty threats. She was telling the truth. As the cars pulled away and the neighbors swarmed me with questions, I whispered to myself so only I could hear. Tonight wasn't about a garage. It was about a war she accidentally revealed. The night air finally settled, but the silence felt heavier than the chaos. Neighbors slowly drifted back to their porches, whispering about everything they'd just witnessed. My wife rushed out with our daughter in her arms, tears streaking down her face. She clung to me so tight I could barely breathe. "It's over," she whispered. But deep down I knew it wasn't. One of the federal agents stepped closer, lowering his voice. "We've been building this case for 2 years. Karen wasn't just harassing neighbors, she was the front. She was covering for something bigger." He glanced at the open garage, then at me. And now, thanks to her meltdown, the whole operation just blew wide open. I looked down at the folder that had fallen from the governor's jacket. The top page showed a map of our neighborhood, with certain houses circled in red. It wasn't random. Every circled house belonged to families Karen had tried to drive out with fines and fake rules. My house was in the center. She hadn't been targeting me by accident. I was at the heart of it. The agent leaned in closer, his words almost a whisper. "You weren't just another neighbor to her. You were the one man she had to break, because you're the only one who could stop what's coming." I clenched my jaw, staring at the flashing ambulance lights fading down the road. My garage door was still open, the files inside glowing under the harsh street lamps. Karen was gone, but her warning echoed in my head. "You don't know who you're really up against." I held my daughter tighter and whispered almost to myself. She wanted me out of this neighborhood, but now I have no choice but to stay, because this fight is bigger than her. And in that moment I knew this wasn't just an HOA dispute anymore. This was war.